If you're the type of person looking for a very simple weekly planner that you can lay out all your tasks and view them at a glance, this planner is for you. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be creating this weekly planner. Here is our tutorial checklist. The first is a template overview. Let me walk you through how this template works. Back here, you can see that we have 7 different sections, one for each day of the week. You double click to select a start date. You can select whatever start date you want, and this would be your day 1. This chart represents a breakdown of tasks by priority. Here's a task entry area. You enter your task here, assign a priority. Once the task is done, you cross it off. And you can see a progress bar here as well as the percentage of the task as you complete them. Down here, if you also want to track habits, you can do so as well. Add your habits, and as you complete them, you cross it off. That's all there is to it. Move on to the next day and do the same. The following week, all you need to do, make a copy of this tab and repeat the same process. All right, we are done with the overview. Cross this off. Next, we'll start with the structure of the template. Open a new sheet. And what I like to do is clean it up. And what that means is I select everything, change it to the font I like to use, and change the alignment. The other thing I like to do is to remove any excess rows and columns that I don't need. We don't need to remove any columns. We actually need to add 3 more, so we'll do that. But down here for the rows, we need to remove everything after 39. So let's add 3 more columns and go all the way down to 39. Select everything down and delete. All right, and then we can resize the rows altogether. Select the entire range, right click, and resize the rows. Select the first column A and the last one, right click, resize to 30 as well. Let's rename the tab to week 2. So back here, what's nice about this template is we only have to create this part. Once we're done and everything works, we can copy it and paste it 6 more times. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is resize the columns. The first column is a narrow column for the checkboxes, the next one for the task, the third one for priority, and then we have a spacer column. Back here, let's do the same. We'll start with the narrow columns. So column B and column E are narrow. Select both of them, resize to 30. And for column C, this is where the task is going to go. I'll set it at 300 for now. And if you need to make your task column wider, feel free to do so. For the priority column, I'll set this at 125. Next, we'll add the outline around the entire section, starting from row 2 to D and all the way down to 38. Add our outer border. And then right here is going to be a header area. This is where the day number is going to go. So like day 1, day 2, etc. So we'll merge this, add a border around it. We'll do the same thing for the second row because this is where the date is going to go. So merge, add a border around it. Next, we'll create the section where the chart's going to go. Back here, it's going to be row 4, right click, resize to 250. Select the entire area, merge, and add a border around it. So far, so good. Next, we'll work on this area right here. It's going to go from row 5 all the way to 26. The first row is for the column headers, and the next one is a progress bar. So select from 5 all the way down to 26 right here, and just make sure we have an outer border or bottom border would work in this case. Create a border around the first row, and then select the second row, merge, and put a border around it. We're going to place a formula here to create a progress bar. From row 7, select the entire range all the way down to the bottom border 26. We're going to add some internal horizontal borders. So back to border, select horizontal borders. We're going to change the style. Okay, first we'll change the color and change the style to this dotted line. All right, it's hard to see now, but when we remove the grid lines, you should be able to see it without a problem. Next, we'll work on this section right here. It's going to be similar to the section above. The first row for the column headers, then the progress bar, and the table section for the habits. Select the first row, add its borders. The second row, we're going to merge and then add borders around it. Select the internal table area. We're going to add the same horizontal border style. Click horizontal borders, change the style to the gray color and the dotted line. All right, so the general structure is done. Let's go ahead and start adding in some content. Over here is going to be day 1, so you can type that, or you can use whatever verbiage you want. And this is where the date is going to go. So we need to add a date picker option here so we can easily select a date. To do this, go to data, data validation, add rule, change it from drop down to is valid date, reject the input, and check this box, click done. Now, when we double click, we can select the date. I do want to change the format, so go to format, number, custom date and time. So now you can choose whatever date and time that works for you. I'm going to go with this one. So select this, click apply, and it shows up like this. Okay, so we'll skip this for now. We'll do that later. All right, so let's work on this section. This is going to contain our checkboxes. So I'm going to add an icon that represents a check mark. So it can go to insert, emoji, and just type in check. All right, and select this one. So we have our check mark icon here. And in the next section, this column is going to be for task. So we can say to-do list, for example, right? Just call it whatever you want. And this is going to be priority. Select everything, bold. I do want this to be left justified as well as the individual tasks. So I'll left justify the header, then select the entire range for the task, left justify as well. We'll skip this one because this is going to be the progress bar area. We're going to need to add a formula, which we'll do later on. Here is the checkbox area. So just select this entire range, go to insert checkbox, and here is where the task is going to go. So I'll add some placeholder data. All right, so I have 10 tasks here. Next, we'll work on the drop down for priority. To do this, select the entire range all the way down here. Go to data validation, add rule. We're going to be using this drop down option. Now we're going to type in our priority. So I have low, medium, high, urgent, and then you can assign whatever colors you want to the priority. So let's say for low, we'll give it this color, medium, high, let's make that orange, and red would be urgent. All right, so this looks good. If we go back here, you can see that I use something different. Instead of assigning colors, I use this color icons. Let me show you how I did that. Click on the edit button, go to insert, emoji, and click on this option right here, the second to the last one. And then you can click on whatever symbol. So let's say I wanted to include this purple one. I'll click on that. And then I'll need to copy it from here and paste it right here. All right. So pretty straightforward. And then you repeat the same for the rest of them. Okay, so far so good. Let's move on to the next area. This section is the daily habit tracker area. So we'll add our checkboxes here as well. Insert checkbox. This is the area for the progress bar. For the habits, we'll work on that later. Now these are the column headers. So for here, we can add the same symbol we added here. All right, this would be for our habits. And I'll just left justify this as well. And this is going to be the percentage of habits completed. So we'll leave that blank for now. And I'll select this entire area, and just to make it consistent, left justify it as well. Add some placeholder. All right, so this section is done. So the general outline is done. So going back to our example, let's go ahead and add some color. I'm not going to necessarily show you what color to add, because everyone has a different taste and preference. I'm just going to show you where I added color to this template, and also to encourage you to use this custom color area. I use this because it allows me to change the colors a lot easier down the line if I change my mind. I do have a separate video to show you how to do this, and I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. All right, so go ahead and add whatever colors you want to your template. I'm going to be adding colors from my custom palette. All right, so here is what that's looking like. So far, so good. Let's go back to our checklist, see how we're doing. We're done with the outline. Next, we'll add our formulas and conditional formatting. We'll start with conditional formatting here. So we have that scratch off effect when we cross off a task. Here is what that looks like. If I uncheck this, you can see that effect goes away. And then when I check this, we have this scratch off effect. So we'll do that next. Select the entire area, go to conditional formatting. The correct range is selected. We do want to add an additional range because we have this section here with checkboxes as well. Go to select data range, add another range, and select this entire area. Click done. All right, so we have both ranges selected. Next, we're going to add the format rule. Click on the drop down, go all the way down to custom formula is, and we're going to type equals. Now we need to add the location of the first cell with a checkbox. And for this range, it is in B7, right? B7 has the first checkbox, so we're gonna add that in the formula. So after equals, you're gonna need to enter the $ and then type in B7. All right, and then let's change the format. Remove the background color. I mean, you could add one too if you wanted. So maybe this really light gray color, change the font color to gray. And here's the cross-off effect. The strike through is going to give us that cross-off effect. So click on that. And here's a preview of what it's going to look like. All right, so if you're okay with this, click done. And then now when we cross it off, you can see that we have that effect. So it works here, and also it works down here too. Okay, so far so good. Next, we'll add some formulas. So here's the first formula right here. It's behind the chart. And what it represents is the percentage of tasks that has been completed. So it says 50% here because we have one of two tasks completed. If I uncheck this, now we have 0%, check both of them, we have 100%. So here is the formula. Let's copy it, paste it right here. Before we hit enter, we can double check to make sure that the ranges are the same. And I also advise you, as you are creating this template, use the same cell locations that I am using so the formulas work automatically. But if you're not going to use the exact same locations, you need to make sure that you adjust the ranges in the formula. So for this formula, the first range, B7 to B26, is for the checkbox. The next range, C7 to C26, is where the task is. And again, the task range is referenced here. All right, so everything matches what it's supposed to be. Let's click enter. All right, so we have 40%, and if we look down here, we have 4 out of 10 tasks, so 40% is correct. Let's check off one more, and that increases to 50%, so we know that the formula works fine. Next, we're going to increase the size of this 50% just to make sure it stands out even more. Change it to 24, make it bold, so this looks good. All right, the next formula we're going to add is a sparkline formula, and this is what's going to give us that progress bar effect. You can see that this is controlled by these checkboxes. So if I uncheck this, right, the progress bar is smaller, and I uncheck the last one and it completely disappears. Okay, so we're going to do that next. Here is the formula that does that. All right, so it's a sparkline formula. Again, just make sure that if you're not using the exact ranges I'm using, make sure that the ranges match in the formula. The first range here is the range for the checkbox. The next one is for the task again. The type of sparkline we're using is called the bar type, which is the horizontal bar. And this is the hex code for the color. So if you want to use a different color, I'll show you how to change it. So let's copy this formula, paste it right here in our template, and it should work without a problem because these ranges are exactly the same. Hit enter. Let me show you how to change the color. I'm using the hex code here, but if I wanted to use a very simple color like red or blue, I can delete this hex code. So you just need to type your color between the quotation marks. So let's type red and hit enter. Now you can see it shows the red color. Let's grab a hex code from my color palette. So go here. All right, so let's say I want to use this color. All right, so here's the hex code. I can grab it from here, copy, close this off, open the formula. You want to make sure you're putting hex code in between the quotation marks. So delete red. All right, paste it there and hit enter. And now it shows up with this color. So you can use whatever color you want. Okay. And it's the same formula for here. So if we go back here, you can see it's a very similar formula. The first range is the range for the checkbox. The next one for the habits. It's a bar sparkline. And here is where we have the hex code. So let's copy that, paste it here, click enter, and it works the way it's supposed to. Let's check this out too. It works the way it's supposed to. Perfect. So far, so good. We do have one more formula here we need to add. And that is the percentage. And let's paste the formula here. If you double click, make sure that the right ranges are selected, which they are. And if we check a box, now the sparkline grows and this increases as we check the boxes. 100% when all the boxes are checked, 0% when none of the boxes are checked. So everything works the way it's supposed to. All right, so back to our checklist. The last thing we need to do is to add our chart. This chart right here. What this chart represents is the breakdown of priorities. So let's do that next. We'll select the entire priority range all the way down. All right. And then click on insert charts. All right. So it automatically gives us this chart, which is fine because we can change it to a donut chart easily. No problem. To do this, go to customize. First, remove the background and the borders. We don't need those. We're going to fit it in this area, which already has a background. Select pie chart. You can keep it as a pie chart if you like. If you want to apply the donut style, go ahead and change the donut hole percentage. So 75%. If you want to make it even thinner, you can change it to 85%. I'm going to move this header because we don't need it. So here's what it looks like. So just move it into this section. So we have low at 33% and medium at 66%, which reflects what we have here. If I add one more, low, so now it's 50-50, and urgent, now we have 40-40-20. So it works the way it's supposed to. And we are done with this section. Like I mentioned earlier, now that this is done, all we need to do is copy and paste it 6 more times. Select this entire range from column B to D all the way from the top. I'm going to skip column E and paste it right here. We're going to make a little bit of a change. Over here, change this to day 2, and then delete the date here. We're going to add a formula here, equals this cell, so cell B3 plus 1. And that's going to allow the dates to update automatically. Let's do the next one. Resize this 30. We're going to select this again because this has that formula. So select the range, paste it here. And now you can see that the date continues. It goes from November 21st to November 22nd. And if I were to change the date here, so let's say November 1st, this changes to November 2nd, to November 3rd, etc. All right, so we need to do it 4 more times. Same process, resize the column, paste. If you paste it and it looks like this, just go ahead and reselect it and paste again. All right. And then so we have day 1 and day 2. So just make sure you change the rest of them. So this should be day 3, day 4, day 5, etc. Next, we'll copy and paste the charts because that doesn't copy automatically when we copy the table. To copy the chart, click on the 3 dots at the top right-hand corner. Click on copy chart. Now we're going to paste it here. So the chart is in this location, but it's still referencing the range here. So we also need to change the range. Double click to open it up. And here's the range, D7 to D26. Change this to H because this is where the priority range is for this section. Hit enter. So now if we change our priorities, so let's change this to low and low. So you can see now it reflects what's going on here. The same process for the rest of them. Paste the charts, double click to open it up, change the range, so L7 to L26. Change the column from D to column L, hit enter, change this from D to column P, and so on. All right, so remember how we apply conditional formatting to this section? Because we copied this and pasted it over here, it copied the conditional formatting, and we don't want that. Here's why. When I check this box off, it controls this section, but it's also controlling the rest of them. So you see how this is being crossed off. It's not being controlled by this. We're going to need to fix that. So select the entire range, go up here, open up the conditional formatting panel. If we click on this formula, you see it has all these additional ranges that we don't want. Just go ahead and remove it. So we'll add the conditional formatting from scratch. Super easy to do. Select the range, add rule, do one more. We're going to need to add it individually to each section because we don't want one section controlling the rest of them. So go ahead and change it to formula equals B7, which is the first cell with a checkbox. Make sure you add the $sign before and add your conditional formatting. All right, so now it's not affecting the rest of them. When we cross this off or this, it doesn't affect the rest of them. And then we're going to need to apply the same conditional formatting rule to the other range. You can add another rule and select the range and do the same thing we did here, or to save a little bit of time, go ahead and click this rule, the one for this, just open it up. And instead of clicking done, click on add another rule. What this is going to do is going to make a copy of this rule, keep the original one intact and make a copy of that rule. Then we'll just need to change the ranges and the formula here, and that saves us just a little bit of time. So click on add another rule. We're going to need to first reselect the range. So click select data range. Change the first one by clicking in it. When you see this blue outline, it means you can go ahead and reselect the range. So do that. Click on the next one, reselect this range. Click OK. Next, we need to change the position of the checkbox. So this is in B7. We need to select this one, which is F7. So change it from B to F. Click done. The first conditional formatting is for this one, which is B7. The next one is for this section, which is for F7. And they should both work independently. So if I cross this off, it only works for this section as well as this one. So then you repeat the same steps for the next one. I'll do one more so you get the hang of it. So this is the conditional formatting for this section. We can click on it, do the same trick to add another rule. So it makes a copy of it, keeps the original one intact. Now we can safely change the range. Click on the select data range, click on the first one, replace it with this range, select the second one, select this range, click done. And then change the column number from F to J, click OK. And now it has applied conditional formatting here. If we check this off, now you can see that it's applied to this and it doesn't affect anything else. All right, so now that this is done, we don't need our grid lines anymore. So go to View, Show, Grid Lines, and this is what the final product looks like. Back here to our checklist, cross this off. I'm going to mention two things. The first thing is I'm going to show you a demo. It's just like what we created today, but it has more features and everything is already done. So if you're looking for something a little bit more advanced, you can go ahead and check it out. And if you are a Patreon member, you will get a copy of this template that we created today, so you don't have to worry about making it from scratch. All right, so here is the template that I have for sale. It already has 52 tabs ready to go for each week of the year. All you need to do is to select a start date of the week, and it does everything automatically. With this template, you can add repeating tasks, so you don't have to type it over and over again. So if you have a list of tasks that you always do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all you need to do is add the task here, select the days you want it to always show up, and you can do the same for your habits. Add the habits that you want to do, select the days you want it to show up. You can also add some holidays and some days you want to remember, like birthdays, anniversaries, things like that. And then when you go to the weekly task area, everything shows up here. The first section is a summary area, so you can add your top priorities for the week, the important dates that we added in the setup tab. We have a weekly summary area, and then the tasks that repeat itself would show up here, and then you can go ahead and add additional tasks here. Same thing with the habits, the recurrent habits show up here, and you can cross it off as you complete them. And you have all the weeks ready to go for the entire year. All right, so that's all I have for today's tutorial. I hope you learned something. If you did, please give me a like. It goes a long way to help my channel grow. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.